The show is made possible in part by its supporting sponsors: Blue Water Power Group of Companies, Joe's Discount Tire, and AskGuy.ca. I've been teasing about this interview coming up, but we're in a great space here, the alt space owned by Tomorrow Media Incorporated, and Ryan Lindsay. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, I'm pretty flattered because I know you're a pretty busy guy. You're the creator and writer for The Trades.
That's correct. Yeah, the creator, which is also considered the showrunner in industry terminology, and then the writer on all 8 episodes, and then the executive producer.
Yeah, I got to tell you, we had Lance Paradis on here. He was, you guys have been friends for a long time. You told
Pony
the story.
Boy, yep.
Pony, right? You told the story of that, and he's just over the top to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. And I mentioned it too, and I'll say it again. From the very first episode, Tom Green in there, I hadn't seen Tom in a long time performing, and the two characters right away set the tone for what was to come in these episodes, and I got that was kind of intentional. 100%
intentional. I mean, a lot of my favorite modern comedies that I've been obsessed with recently, like anything Danny McBride touches, like Eastbound and Down, The Righteous Gemstones. I actually referenced the Righteous Gemstones pilot episode for setting the tone in our show, where he's baptizing a bunch of people abroad, and then he comes home and his son, he kisses him on the forehead, and his son opens his eyes and calls him, whatever, very offensive word. And you're just like, that's the show I'm getting. Right. So we wanted to do the same with The Trades. And, I'm going to swear, but, that's the the contract that I signed making this show. But it's you're a fucking joke is such a widely used saying and and threat, or
whatever
association,
offensive, whatever,
for sure. So I think it started off right, and you get a little context of where the narrative's going to head for the episodic arc of that story in that little scene. And then it segues nice into the title sequence. I think.
And as of recording of this, I just watched the 2 latest episodes.
So 5 and 6.
Right. Yeah. And it was 3 a.m, and I was getting ready to go to bed. Yeah. And then I realized, it's Friday. This is how I'm hooked on this. It's like, it's Friday. I wonder if it's on Crave. And I went, and there's 2 episodes, and I didn't go to bed till 4 o'clock this morning because I had to watch these. And,
sorry.
Right. Tom Green, following his character in the show already.
Sure.
I already, and very quickly from the start, could not imagine anybody else playing this character.
True.
It's so true to Tom Green's
neither could
persona,
I.
Right?
I mean, neither could I. I saw him in that role from day one. It was written for him. And when we finally started casting, it just worked out great, because I didn't know that the Trailer Park Boys had such a relationship with him.
Right.
He was in the Swearing movie. I forgot about that. But it didn't take much to get him involved. The complicated thing with, when you get people like Robb Wells, Tom Green, Enrico Colantoni, guys of that status where they're pros, seasoned pros, it's scheduling. So, finding time in their calendar. Like a little interesting tidbit of information is that Patrick McKenna from the Red Green Show, he plays Todd and Audrey's father in the show. Originally, it was supposed to be Alex Lifeson, the drummer of Rush.
Really?
Yeah, because he's been in Trailer Park Boys jail series, and there was an interest there from him early days, but then I think he booked, it was like his birthday weekend or something.
Oh, wow.
So it was a bit, because you don't, when people think of TV and film production, they think of, for whatever reason, shooting in sequence. Like,
no.
This is the start of the film. We're gonna film, this is day one. and it's not, and that's what's difficult of being an actor. You know, I've found is, and that's part of it being that separates the amateurs from the pros, is that, you know, you're block shooting, so you're shooting day 10 on day 1 of production.
Right.
So day 10,
that would mess with me.
what is my character's mindset? What is his relationship been with the rest
well,
of
and
the
the growth
characters?
of the character, because
Sure.
they grow through over time, you know.
Yeah.
and-
What's the subtext in this conversation? What do I need to know that my character knows prior to this interaction? So
yeah. Well, we the viewers take it for granted, right? You know, that's definitely, we realize like, yeah, day 1, and it would make sense to do it that way, but time, and like you say, the scheduling is a big part of
and
that.
budget is in consideration. So,
Well,
yeah.
that would be the other. I would have thought more. I didn't think of the scheduling. I would have thought, you know, guys like Tom Green, like all those characters, all those professional actors, that money would be a factor. Is this worth my while? Because this is their profession. So that all that budgeting and working that out and different deals.
Yeah.
What was it that scheduling was more tough than the budget?
I mean, we were very fortunate in unfortunate times, because there was 2 strikes going on last year, if you remember. The SAG strike, right? So that the writer's strike was a big one. Sorry, the WG, the writer's strike, and then the SAG strike.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of Canadian actors that were out of work because no U.S. productions were coming north of the border.
Yeah.
So I can confirm with our casting agent, but I think the number thrown around was like 2,200 to 2,300 submissions we received.
Wow.
For, I don't know, a dozen roles.
Yeah.
So massive influx of auditioning, because all the agents were hungry. Their clients weren't getting work. So we were in a fortunate situation, because all of these high profile actors were looking for something to do, and this show is original and unique. I think it's definitely an ode to, you know, 90s 2000s comedies and stuff that I grew up on, you know, like the Happy Madison stuff, you know, like a lot of, you know, it's obviously juvenile and crass, but I like stuff that has heart too. So you know, trying to layer that on the page as the talent's reading this. I know, because I've had conversations with these actors and performers, they were super curious how this was going to come together.
Right.
And now that they've seen the final product, they're stoked.
Honestly, it's amazing. And I like that you mentioned that there's sort of a comedy or a style to it that we don't see that often. Like it's maybe a little too far back, but I always, you know, think of like Archie Bunker and and like, could you do an Archie Bunker show today? You know, certain things
you'd get canceled pretty quick, but
but
you know,
I mean, not necessarily like by the public, right? That cancel culture.
Yep.
But you pull this off very nicely in this. I think, again, going back to that first scene, I think people are, right away, you're either gonna like it or you're not. But I really truly think you're gonna love it based on how that went, and then it followed through. But with the comedy that's in this, I call it strong comedy, if you will. Mm-hmm. There's a sentimental side to this as well. One of the, you know, the main character is also, you know, kind of reevaluating life a little bit, and then, you know, family stuff and whatever.
Sure.
You sneak that in, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's there's a heartwarming side to all of this, I guess, too, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and that's reality. That's life.
Yeah.
You know, of course, I mean, let's be honest, like the target audience segment for this show is 18 to 40 male skewing, right? It's you know, it's taking a page out of the Trailer Park Boys playbook a bit, but also, you know, we're spotlighting, you know, the blue collar lifestyle, a workforce that doesn't necessarily, like, people don't understand. I got a lot of people that are watching the show that have commented and said, I had no idea that's what my husband does.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Really?
And it's not the pranks and the jokes and that stuff. It's just like what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because you're not allowed to take photos. You're not supposed to, you know, take videos and photos in the refineries. But so there's that element to it. But yeah, it's a specific comedy that, like I said, it's for someone to have mentioned the, you know, that Eastbound and Down humor, you know, it's amazing to be like thought of in that category. I know, like I look at those shows and I'm just like, they're like pieces of art, like
Yeah.
they're so amazing.
Yeah.
So we can only keep trying to achieve that level, and knock on wood, we get a season 2 renewal soon.
Yeah.
Then we'll continue to
I don't see
strive.
why not.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah.
It's been trending on
It
Crave in the
sure
top couple
has.
spots, and
Yep.
everybody seems to be very, very happy with where it's at and how things are going. So
Yeah. Let's back up now,
Yep.
because you don't just call up Crave and say, "Hey, I got an idea. What can you do for me?" So take us back to, I guess, day one of the day you woke up and said, "I'm going to write and I'm creating this thing called the Trades," and then the journey, I guess, that got you to where we're sitting today.
Sure. So, and it wasn't just an epitome. It was over a series of family dinners and family occasions where I'm with my brothers. I'm coming from Toronto, after working 3 to 6 month gigs with like Cronenberg or Guillermo del Toro or massive $200 million, big picture movies, like just amazing stuff. And I thought I had awesome stories, and they kind of got backseated because everything that my brothers were talking about on their day-to-day job, like the pranks and the just the stuff the rumors and nicknames and like everything, it's just so funny. So like we would just be in stitches, losing it, and that was the genesis, really. And as me and my brothers kept continued to talk about it as like what a show would look like, and then it just hit a point where I knew I could package something. I was at a point in my career where I knew I could get funding to package something.
Okay. Yeah.
And the Canadian Media Fund agreed, and the Canadian Media Fund gave a small sum of money, that's sub $20,000, to shoot a proof of concept. And that's what we did 6 years ago here in Sarnia with tradespeople and local performers from the Imperial Theatre.
Wow. So
we did that over a span of 3 days in like mid-August 2019 or something, 2018. Wow. And it was it ended up being a minute and a half in total, and this proof of concept. And I already had 2 scripts written, so I've obviously, you learn to become a jack of all trades in this industry. So I was a self-taught editor, so I did all the editing, all the post-production on that demo. I directed it, I wrote it. I brought in a good friend of mine and colleague, Mark Ferrand from Toronto. He's a cinematographer, camera operator. Okay. He brought all his gear, so I knew it was going to look good. And we sourced crew locally, and then we did it. But that's such a small victory in this bigger journey, because I brought that demo and those 2 scripts to Bell and sat in a conference room with a junior development executive, and he declined the project. They said the exact words were, this show would cannibalize Letterkenny's audience, which was interesting to me because in my line of work at the time, I was working in marketing and advertising. And I know that if you're going to spend more money to acquire a new subscriber for a platform like Crave rather than audience sharing. Audience sharing in that in that space is everything. So it kind of confused me that whether it was the real reason or not, but I took it as a maybe. Like I never ever think of, in that situation, a no is a no, because it's all timing.
No, not right now.
That's correct. Exactly. So I knew that Robb Wells was the lead. I knew I wanted to meet Robb Wells, the Trailer Park Boys.
Yep.
And it was through 2 colleagues that I ended up being introduced. And he watched the demo, read the pilot, and he agreed. He thought this was a great concept. And everyone always said, I can't believe this hasn't been done. we can touch on why my
Sure.
theories are
Yeah.
in a bit, but why it hasn't been done before. But the yeah, and then when I returned to Bell, so Rob, when he showed interest, he said, jump on a plane, come out east. So I went out east and met the other two guys and their producer, Gary Housem. So that's where the partnership was formed. And then we went back into the room with Bell. This would have been 2 years after my original pitch. And then yeah, they couldn't resist, so
Wow.
they said let's do it. And they also knew Letterkenny was winding down as well.
Right.
So again, it's timing.
Yeah.
It's the climate of the industry. Like what's the what's the interest of the broadcasters? What's the interest of the audience at the time? Yeah. So and then the factor. So it's interesting because when I was just telling you earlier before we started the interview about the press gauntlet,
Yeah, right. Share that, because that's
I will.
Yeah.
But we were doing the press gauntlet in Toronto, and it's at the Chum Building, the Old Much Music Building, and they,
Yep.
every floor is basically like, this is radio, this is the social, this is. So Rob and Anastasia are being, shepherded around to all these interviews and stuff like that, and I'm in the background, helping quarterback some questions and provide.
It was a whole day, though.
It was like 8 to 10 hours of just that. But the interesting thing was when Rob and I were walking down a hallway, I stopped and he's like, "What's up?" And I was like, "This is the room that I pitched the show and they declined it."
Oh, wow.
And he was like, "Hey, do you want a photo?" And I was like, "Fuck no." And we just kept walking.
I'm not giving them anything of that.
Yeah. And so that was kind of fun. And then it's just interesting how I mean, we walked by so many boardrooms that day, and I was just like, "This is the one."
That's the one I remember. Yeah.
So, yeah, it was really surreal to obviously work with the Trailer Park Boys,
Sure.
learn from them. When you think of comedy in Canada, I mean, you think of like Kids in the Hall, Trailer Park Boys, Letterkenny, like Shoresy, all those, there's just so many.
And they have honestly, probably a wider audience than you would have thought.
Massive.
Versatile. Like actually, Jordan Peterson.
Yep.
I went and saw him not too long ago, and
You got your mind melted.
Yeah.
For an hour.
It was really awesome. But he got asked, "Do you actually watch Trailer Park Boys?" And he was like, "Oh my God, yes, I do." And he says, "I'm actually probably 20% Trailer Park Boy." And I thought people were blown away by that because it's Jordan Peterson who he
Sure.
is, and so I mean, is you kind of expect that with the trades too? Obviously, there's a specific target audience, but then it's broader than that, right?
Sure.
It's going into that.
Intellectuals need a break too.
Right.
It's like,
right. Well,
Peterson's incredible. I've seen him speak before. Yeah.
Like him or hate him, he's a great
real
speaker.
on that. I mean, yeah, and he's one of those. That I would call it entertainment because there's if you don't pay attention for 5 seconds, you're lost.
Yep.
His tangents are so crisp and so compact and so intelligent. Like you become lost, so you have to stay hyper focused throughout the whole presentation.
Oh yeah.
But
I was afraid to get up and go to the bathroom.
You'd be lost.
Right.
The trades is not that. The trades is something that the aim is to obviously entertain and have a couple chuckles, but like something you can throw on in the background and or rewatch.
But honestly, like for me, like I had to go to the washroom, right? And it's like I had to pause it. Like I don't want to miss. I could miss it and come back into it, but I didn't want to miss anything. That's the other difference there for me anyway, as a watcher. And, I mean, being from Sarnia, I mean, I'm not in the trades. I've always been an entertainer, whatever you want to say. But, I mean, Sarnia and other areas too, like it's their own economy right here, right? Like, so was any of this shot in Sarnia?
No. Yeah. So I guess we're getting to that.
Was that intentional?
No. I attempted to.
Yeah.
So we can talk about this, and the reason why I think this concept has never been done before. It's the execution. Like you can't have a camera or lights in an active refinery.
Oh yeah, right.
I mean, it's not only the safety side of it, but the intellectual property
Right.
security side of it.
Yep.
So I was actually getting up the chain in, you know, the big four down the river, you know, and once I got to the top point of contact, you know, and they heard that it was a TV show and we were going to be having cameras, they stopped talking to me.
Is that right? Eh?
Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
I even talked to the mayor. You know, I've talked to city councilors about this. The issue with Sarnia is there's a couple reasons we couldn't do this project here. One, the infrastructure, the lack of. So there's no crew here.
Right.
At least in the capacity of like a
What you need.
GTA,
Yeah.
or an out east. The hubs of film production in Canada. So the amount of the cost we'd incur to travel everyone,
Right.
feed them and accommodate them, it just eliminates, like we should just shoot in Toronto at that point.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so then the other side of it too is where can we film it? So we can't film in an active refinery. You know, I was sniffing around for a decommissioned area. There was nothing I could find. Stelco in Hamilton was the spot that we did all our exteriors at.
Yeah.
And it was because we were in a decommissioned area, surrounded by an active refinery on all four sides. So anywhere you pointed the camera, you're seeing active flare stacks,
Right.
smokestacks. You're seeing, you know, traffic. You're hearing all the background noise and Foley.
Yeah.
So like it
comes through very well.
Yeah, thanks. So
Yeah.
we got very lucky with that location and are very grateful to Stelco for that. And the other stuff is like, so the execution is difficult, I believe, is why this hasn't been done. And but yeah, the other part of it was out east. Our locations manager, Chris Poole, he found Nova Scotia Community College, the Ackerley campus is a trade school. So within their school, they have not only all these welding shops and amazing backdrops, but they have training environments that don't have product in the pipes.
Oh, right.
So you feel like you're in an active refinery, but we could do everything, spark lights and do everything and run into things with a camera cart and nothing happens. So that was the other win for the show to get made, was partnering with Nova Scotia Community College. And not only did it function as an amazing backdrop and locations, but we shot during the summer months, so there's no students. So they sectioned off a wing of their school as our production offices.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the parking lot, it's empty too.
Right.
So that's our base camp.
So everything just kind of lined up and said, this just makes sense,
Yep.
money wise and backdrop wise. And
it was a
everything.
dream.
But that being said, you did still make a point of, I noticed you put some Sarnia into it though, like the leaky pipe,
Yeah.
right? And Imperial Valley,
Yep.
I'm guessing.
Yep.
So there was still, that was something that was important to you though, then, is to have some Sarnia in there.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea was born here, heavily influenced by Sarnia, my upbringing, but also the 200 now it's like 204 trades consultants that I interviewed locally over the past 5 years. So yeah, so there's and of course everything that they're sharing with me is Sarnia centric.
Yeah.
So yeah, it had a huge influence on the show. But you'll notice, like, if you look closer, there's Easter eggs everywhere. I mean, even the
birds liked them.
That's right. That's right. Even
I can't say I've signed an NDA or something. I don't know, but just wait for the birds.
Yeah, that's episode 5.
It actually kind of reminded.
It's out right now.
Yeah. Okay. It reminded me a little bit of the movie The Birds in a humorous sort of way.
Sure.
Was that just my perception, or was that a part of it somehow, or because that's a hilarious scene.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. We had to hire
birds,
1,300 birds. No, that's all VFX. It was all VFX. But we costed it out. We were looking at bringing on, like, I think it was like 130 homing pigeons, and you only get one shot with them because they're gone. So there was talk of that, but yeah, we got a really good.
It was great.
We had a good VFX artist, and he did a fantastic job. Mike was amazing. But back to the Easter eggs, like you'll notice that the Carpenter's local is like 3519 is like the number, and then there's the leaky pipe reference. You'll notice on some of the bathroom art there's some stuff. Like even
I've actually paused the bathroom so I could read it.
That's amazing. Oh, job like mission complete, because that was something that I personally wanted to include in the credit sequence was the graffiti art, because I mean, I strongly believe that, that the graffiti art is such an integral, like it's such a huge thematic point for this show. You can see it in the, like, look at, the logo is my handwriting. Like, that was me handwriting in Sharpie, the logo.
That's perfect.
Yeah. And
I got mine.
Episode 3, which is the sensitivity training episode, it really highlights, the importance to our characters that this bathroom art retains. But it's just, I always thought that, like, I still get some of the consultants on the show, I won't say any names, Lance, but I still get texts every once in a while of photos of their, what they're seeing and finding in the bathrooms, because I mean, half of my photo album on my phone is pictures of my family, and then the other half is graffiti art.
Right.
Just because of the influx of.
There you go, folks. Take a picture of your graffiti art and let's start a trend sharing.
I think I'm actually
bathroom art.
I'm gonna start. Like, I have hundreds and hundreds. I might even do like a photo book, a coffee book or something.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
That's probably what's gonna happen.
And see, for somebody like me, like I'll be 55 this year, so I go back to high school in the 80s kind of thing, and that was. I don't think I can go to prison for it now, but like that's what we did. And we wrote on the bathroom walls and in the stalls.
Sure.
For a good time call or whatever, all that stuff, right? And that was and then when it was temporarily taken away in the trades, one in particular got really upset about that.
Yeah, Taser was pissed.
He was just not happy, not having it.
Yeah, it's they're so creative and inventive. Like, some of the humor in it is just amazing.
Yeah.
So what we did for that scene was, at Nova Scotia Community College, we took over one of their bathrooms and we replaced the stall doors with our own that I think our art department found on Kijiji. And then the art department went in over a series of 3 days and did all the graffiti, and then we painted over it. And then we had to do the little bits, because at the end, it gets painted over, and then at the end, it's there's still some stuff that's starting up again. Like, it's like, the art is beginning, but so that was the sequence, and then we painted everything over, so no one knows. Students walk in that bathroom, hundreds a day go in that bathroom, and they probably don't know that that's the one. And under the 2 coats of paint is like this masterpiece.
Right.
Yeah.
Women in the trades was obviously something that's significant in this as well, and all of the characters play, like every character in this, honestly, right down to Lance and the tiny little parts. They just all seem so perfectly matched to their part. Like, we said, like Tom Green, like, it was written for him. Like, it seemed like their part was written for them.
That's good. That speaks to the performers. That speaks to the performers' capabilities and their talent and their preparation. Yeah. That's what that speaks to. I hope the writing supplemented a lot of that as well. But
the scenes for, like, each character seems very critically or specifically introduced. Like, when we meet each character, they're given a moment, it seems like, to introduce their character, right down to like when the ponytail is cut.
Sure.
I felt like when I look at that character now in the trades, I don't think of Trailer Park Boys anymore.
Right.
For a couple of moments, because that's where that label came from for that
Like when you first saw him cast in the role without watching any content, you were like, "That's Ricky."
Right.
But now you're like, "That's Todd."
When that ponytail came off, I felt like that was a moment of separating the Trailer Park Boy to this new
Interesting.
character. I didn't know if that was why, but I thought, oh, and because he didn't want to change his character, and
Yeah.
he had to change into somebody else in order to hopefully take on some roles that, well, he eventually got stepped over for. But
Wow, that's pretty deep. That's actually, yeah, that's subtext.
so that wasn't intentional there. I
mean,
don't know.
it
It separated the Trailer Park Boy from the new character.
yeah,
For me.
you're bridging two worlds. I mean, in the trades world, you know, it signified, you know, Todd wanting to take, you know, both feet out of being on the tools and being one of the crew and putting one foot in corporate.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right? Like that was his hopefulness.
Dangerously too,
Yeah.
in a sort of in a social sort of way.
Sure. It brings a lot of complications and antagonisms if he does that.
Traitor.
Yeah, for sure. Bag liquor for like, but yeah, that the two worlds, like that's so interesting because I don't want to put words in Robb's mouth, but I mean, 23 years the Trailer Park Boys has been running. Everywhere he goes, people call him Ricky as opposed to Robb. Sometimes I've seen it.
Yeah.
People walk up to him in the streets and give him cigarettes and joints and whatever, even though he doesn't partake in either. So it's like his character has intruded into his reality. But the other interesting thing, and this is an anecdotal thing that he told me the other week, was when he was in Florida recently on vacation. He was on the beach and somebody walked up to him and said, "Hey, are you Todd?" And he was like, "Pardon me?" And they're like, "From the trades." And he's like, "Yeah." And this person had never watched the Trailer Park Boys. So he was like, "That, how interesting is that?"
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah. People are recognizing it, and it's
maybe it's
because there's always that danger for an actor. I think, you know, like I go way back to like Cheers. You know, that went on for so long, and those characters, you know, the danger, Steve Urkel, you know, the danger of not being able to get other roles because that's all we see.
Typecast.
Thanks. Yeah, typecast.
Yeah.
And was there any thought into that, like as far as like how are people going to look at this new character? Will we be able to separate that new character from the Trailer Park Boy character?
Listen, when Robb Wells swears, you can sense the Ricky,
sure,
you know. But I mean, from my guess is from Robb's perspective. Again, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I mean, as he's an actor, he's a performer.
Mm-hmm.
Actors want to act; they want challenges.
Yeah.
I think this was a challenge, because. Todd is a lot different than Ricky. He's multidimensional. You know, like there's a lot of emotional scenes in the trades.
Yep.
And Robb nails it. It was a pleasure to like watch him work and grow through this character. And I couldn't have seen anybody else in that role or position. And just getting to know Robb's process and him on a personal level has been just the coolest thing. Yeah.
What's the fun part in all of this besides the obvious? Like, I mean, congratulations. Like, you know, I mean, you've had lots of great press on this. It's a dream come true type story, persistency, you know, against all odds. But what's been the most fun in all of this?
Man, I guess having a creative say in almost, every element that goes into this. And like you were saying before, the general audience, the general viewer just sees the final product. You don't see the process. You don't see the preparation.
Yeah.
You don't see the development of this show. And I mean, it's out of those 6 years, that process of pitching and packaging and developing and writing and producing and post-production, that's 2 years full time, really, when you break it down.
With no ROI coming in.
Right. It's until it's out there and in the universe and being watched and being rated, and the numbers, the analytics are going to, I'm assuming the analytics and maybe some instinct on the broadcaster side will make the ultimate decision on a renewal. But I think, it's crazy. So to give you an idea of, an average day, you wake up, I'd wake up out east. I'll position myself out east in Dartmouth when we were filming out there. I'd wake up, and I'd probably have 30 to 40 emails. And they would not necessarily be production specific, but that was just the way it was happening. I was getting a massive influx of emails, whether it was people looking for work. They were able to source my email from IMDb or through press.
Right.
So they found out who, so that's happening. And then on WhatsApp, I've got multiple groups based off of departments. So you've got wardrobe, hair and makeup, you've got art department, you've got props, so all of these people
I'm tired already.
Well, they're all looking for decisions. They're looking for clarification, and they're looking for decisions. So if the department head, wants my input, I have to give it, and it's either a thumbs up, thumbs down, or come see me.
It's all time sensitive.
For sure. So then you've got all those decisions you're making, but then you've got all the in-person stuff. So when you're on set, we had a really cool and talented director do all 8 episodes, Warren Sonota. He's the president of the DGC, the Directors Guild of Canada.
Okay.
Awesome guy, but he was very comfortable with me and my presence on set, being over his shoulder around, just in case there was any writing, dialogue, creative questions that came up, stuff that he wanted to collaborate on or ask me. So I'm getting live questions from him. Also, you've got the actors who have questions on intent, subtext, whatever is happening in the scene. But then there's also adjustments that are happening. So if there's lines that are, just say an actor ad-libs a line and we like it, well, you have to go, what implications does this have down the line? Does this affect tomorrow? Yeah. Does this affect next week? So we're tracking all of that and making sure that those changes are implemented into the new drafts of scripts. So there's a lot on the fly. I mean, I've touched on probably 20% of what actually goes on in your brain.
You mean you don't just point a camera and say, stand there, and then don't like it and say, no, we'll try it this way?
Then everybody could do it.
Right.
So the cool thing is like, it does require a huge
team. Much coordination.
A huge team. And everybody is so, like, they're an expert in their specific role. Yeah. And it's amazing. The coolest thing, I guess, to answer your question, one of the coolest things was, I have my perfectionist tendencies where I'm, I really think I know what this should be, and then it's handed off to an expert in that field,
and they think different.
But they exceed all my expectations and blow my mind, and I'm like, that's been the right person for this job, and that's why they're doing this professionally.
Yeah, that's why they're the expert, and I just need to let them do that.
Delegation in this industry is everything, and that's why there is 200 and something people working on this show in 2 provinces.
And out of all of that, let's talk about the evilness of it all. Everybody's got to get paid.
Sure.
You got like 200 people, and you got all the actors, and then hey, there's you,
sure.
and everybody else, and you want a return on your investment. I mean, I get it. It's about the art, but it's a business.
It is a product. Right? You're right.
And, we talked before we started the camera too about mindset. You and I seem to agree on some philosophies there on how to get things done. And, through all of this process of the 6 years it took you to get to where we're sitting in this room today talking about it, because it's a reality. What kept you going?
That's a great question. I think it's that work ethic and drive started
Like, did you want to quit at some point? Were you like, you know what,
No.
I don't think this is worth it?
No.
Okay, so there's an answer in itself. Right?
That drive started way before this project was conceptualized.
Right.
When I made the decision, shit, I knew when I was like 18 that I was interested in screenplays and writing. Yep. I just had no exposure. And I'm not knocking, the guidance counseling system at high schools because they don't know. We're in Sarnia. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to put you in a pipeline to, like, no pun intended, they're going to funnel you into a career path that will support the what's going on downriver. Yeah, the trades. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get that's why we're here. Talking is because of this show. Yeah. And it's such a viable career path. You make great money. You learn great skills. There's longevity there. You could have a really great life working in the trades, and I've seen it. My family members are in the trades.
My dad was a process operator.
My counselors were like, "You like computers? You're going to be a computer programmer." And I'm like, "Great." So I went to Lambton. Was not a computer programmer, and I had to make the autonomous decision to move to Toronto because I knew that that's where film production happened. And that's where I'd be exposed.
You got her out west, right?
Correct. So my goal was, what do I need to be there? I need independence. I need to understand how to live on my own in a big city, and I need money. Right. So once I backpacked Europe to seek out the independence, I backpacked Europe with my best friend at the time. Like Joe, he's my best friend, but at the time, he was the one that was available to backpack Europe together. And we went and made it a mission to see as many live soccer matches as we could. I think we saw like 11 in total. Nice. But it was an awesome experience in independence. But then also I needed money, so I worked as many jobs as I could to secure that. And then I moved when I was 23. And I just chipped away at the industry and never stopped. So I think to answer your question, I don't think if you're passionate about something, you can make it a career, you can actually sustain yourself. And I don't mean like,
I couldn't agree with you more.
I don't even mean like making six figures or big money. Like as
just
long
do
as
what you love and be happy.
If you can stay afloat and achieve, build a business or create art or like you said, achieve happiness. Yeah. I think that's a formula. There's something there that's
everybody has one thing in common when they want to do something. It's sweat equity, right? If you have a skill, you can put time into it.
Yep.
The money isn't there necessarily up front. I think I've always found that if you're doing something that I find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life. Maybe I'm passionate about a lot of things. Doesn't mean I'm going to make a living at all of it.
Sure.
But find the one that drives you to do that and put your sweat equity into it. And if you do that, people, I think, recognize that, and then the money comes.
Right.
Rather than like we've been conditioned to go, you got to go to school, get a good job. And of course, like you say, in Sarnia, it's very obvious because it's its own economy here. It's all the trades, the carpenters, the laborers, everybody, right? So did you have the support? Like, was family behind you on this the whole time? Or were they like, well, that's good, but maybe you should have a plan B? Just because they love you. Like,
let's get real on that topic real quick, because I have one of the greatest support systems, being my family. Obviously they understood why I went to Toronto and what I wanted to pursue. Yeah. In theory, they didn't, they knew that I was like, they didn't have to give me a penny my whole life. They knew that I would, once I became an adult, like I was able to figure out my stuff. Yep. So my goal was I moved to Toronto and I supplemented this dream to become, to work in film and TV by working as many jobs as possible, bar, gigs, anything I could get my hands on, guerrilla marketing gigs, like anything, like starting.
Did you sell knives?
No, but starting a business with, an ad agency with my best buddy and roommate at the time, that stuff, like anything that to make it happen. And it's always been like being in entrepreneurship, like I've always tried to marry creative with technology, and film is that. There's a lot of technology in production, but yeah, like my back to like my support system, they understood in theory what I was doing, but I really don't think they got it until my parents, I don't think, still get it. I think they see the newspaper article, and they see posts on social media, and they're like, and they went to the event, and I think maybe that was a realization where they're like, whoa, like the top is blowing off this place. People are liking this content. Ryan clearly found his stride in terms of content creation.
Yeah.
This is interesting. And my son is talking on the stage in front of everybody. So I'm sure that was surreal for them. But the moment that my brothers got it was when they came to set in Hamilton as extras. We brought in 24 tradespeople from Sarnia to be in the background, because why teach a background actor how to weld or hold a wrench when we have professional, skilled
They
people
already
that
know
can
how
do
to
it?
do that.
Yeah,
They just need to be in the room.
for sure. And then I trust them too, because I know them, or my brothers
Right.
know them, so I indirectly know them. And so we brought a bunch of people down, men and women, and they. So this is the moment when my brothers were like watching those decisions I was telling you about. The constantly on my phone making decisions, people coming up asking me 100 questions. You see everybody working to set up a specific shot. It's basically controlled chaos. And that's where my brothers, I think, hit that moment of being proud and understanding that
This is real.
it's come together.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
With the success of all of this, Ryan, like sometimes in the beginning, it's like some people will see something like you talked about, like, oh, okay, he's doing that thing. Well, okay, whatever. And now it's come to life. It's on Crave. We're talking about the trades. If you don't get that yet, go watch it. If you don't have a subscription, go get one. Are you getting flooded more now? Like people are seeing, sometimes it's like you want to see the success before it happens and try to get involved. But then once the success happens, now you got a whole bunch of people reaching out saying, hey, if there's a season 2 or 3, I'd love to be a part of it.
Sure. And that's fine.
Right?
That's fine.
You're getting some more options in there.
Well,
now.
like I said, I would much rather have someone I trust, on camera or on crew. The way, that I look at film production and TV production is there's culture to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So the culture that I'd like to create are, I don't want attitudes or assholes. I really want people to put the project and the story first, and be passionate about the show. And that's what we got when we were out east. It was a family. The entire crew were so amazing. Like every day, you're going around and you're hugging 50 people.
Yeah.
And then at lunch, you're all eating lunch together and enjoying each other's company. You're sad when it ends.
Right.
You're sad when you worked side by side with this person for a summer, enjoyed a summer out east, one of the best summers I've ever had, and then it comes to an end. So yeah, there's culture building in production, and that's big for me.
Yeah, kind of attaches to the heart a little, right? For sure.
Absolutely, and it comes through in the
I was going to say
product.
it comes through in the production.
Yep,
sure.
And the support,
building relationships, having the impact
for sure
on each other, right?
For sure.
The trades, obviously, the main focus right now. You're working on looking at a season 2. Hopefully, you got to get things in place for that. When that happens,
right?
Beyond the trades, or have you thought of beyond the trades at this point? Like, is there other projects that you want to bring to life, or do you just like those don't matter right now? I just got to focus on this.
So, my obligations are to the trades and being prepared for renewal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you always have, you always have other shows and concepts and stuff like that. I mean, I've been doing it for 20 years, thinking about doing it for 20 years. And now that it's happened and people are picking up my phone calls or calling me,
that's even better, right?
To work on like, I got a call recently about, a producer that I know that optioned the intellectual property for a book. And it's a super cool book series. And he wants to adapt it to TV, and he's considering me to showrun it.
Nice.
So it's not my original idea; it's someone else's. But I would take that opportunity if it works with my schedule and what happens with the trades. So stuff like that. I mean, there's other shows even in unscripted. This is a scripted show. The other side to TV is unscripted in reality, right? So there's unscripted shows that are circulating right now that I've pitched, that some support the trades and are in the blue collar space, which is kind of my lane. I'm really liking, this audience. I'm really liking like the blue collar viewership. I think it's an underrepresented, segment in content, and I think we can make a lot of funny shit. And that's kind of where I'm going. But I owe it to the trades to stay focused and ready. Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? I mean, with everything, boy, we could go on probably for 2 or 3 hours talking about this, and maybe we will. Maybe we'll do some follow-ups here and there with some other characters. I don't know. We haven't talked about that yet, but I'd love to play a villain if you ever do like a mafia.
See, now you're doing it.
I know, right? I know. That's why I brought it up. But seriously, no. But that's flattering, though, right? Like to have people go, wow, like notice, and then say, because now you got these other options. Because one of the reasons I asked that question too was it's like future seasons, episode 2.
Yep.
Would you look at introducing more characters or new characters, or you just keep going with what you got that's working?
Yeah, I mean, again, we were blessed with this ensemble cast of like freaking crazy talent, like unbelievable talent, like Susan Kent, Jesse Camacho. Jason Daly, Brandon Oakes, Enrico Colantoni, like Raul. Like, there's so many. Like, it's just amazing to see these people work and how professional they are. Jennifer Spence, like, it's amazing just to like be in their presence and watch them be prepared and like execute what they've been planning and thinking and interpreting your words. And like it's just so bizarre. It's such a
not as easy as we might think, I can just go in front of the camera and do my thing.
Ask Lance. Well, you did ask Lance. Lance, I don't know how, I didn't watch his whole interview, but I mean, he was nervous.
Yeah,
of course. You've got
and he had ideas he wanted to he shared, and hopefully this and that, but there's 50
sets of eyeballs looking at you and waiting for you to
get it right.
Like, walk to a point, make sure you land on that spot, say your line, and then walk away. And I mean, it doesn't sound like
not
much.
Look like you're looking at a point to walk to,
and sell it. And Lance got a taste of what it would be like to do that. Like, imagine doing that times 1,000 on a daily basis. That's what the Robb Wells and the Jennifer Spences do.
Yeah. I really want to do more, but I think we're out of time on this one. Ryan Lindsay, congratulations on the success. And like I say, I'm no expert on this thing, but a person gets a feeling when they watch something or hear something, when they talk to somebody, and the feeling is good. It's positive.
Thank you.
And we say, like, it's not just like my wife Jennifer watched it and she just thinks it's hilarious, and she doesn't know anything about the trades.
Right.
She's in the dental field, right? So I think I see a whole bunch of seasons coming out of this for you. That's my hope for you, and I know Sarnia's been in your corner and many other people as well. So we'll look forward to. And thanks so much for giving me your time, because I know you could be anywhere else right now.
Hey, appreciate yours, and the community support has been amazing, and I couldn't have done this show without Sarnia, so it's awesome. So important. Yeah.
Awesome. Every Friday there's new series or new episodes coming out. The Trades. I got my hat. I'm going to hang on to that one. And you can. It's on Crave, so get your subscriptions if you don't already have it, or go to somebody's house, grab some beer, whatever, and watch The Trades and enjoy this episode here. But as I always say, click the like and the love button, but click the share button. It's the most important button, so we can share Ryan's story and everybody else I talk to here in the show. But as always, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. And I'll see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.